Okay, good morning everyone. Today I will be showing to you how to flash SonOff device using our XTRHA APM firmware. So this is a very popular Chinese smart light switch. What I'm gonna do today is I'm going to flash this one with our own firmware, and it's similar to flashing like the SMUTA and ESP homes, but in this case we'll be using with our own firmware. So we're gonna open this one. So this is how you're gonna open. You're gonna unlock from here, and okay, if you have a bigger flat screw, you can just put here and twist, but in my case I have smaller one, so I need to unlock from both sides before I twisting it. So now I already open. Okay, so this is how it looks inside. Over here we have this pinning. We have the ground, TX, RX, and the BCC. And what we're gonna do is we have this UART, and this UART, he also have his own pinning 3 volts, TX, RX, and ground. Okay, so basically this MCU is powered by 3 volts, so you need to be very careful of using which power you're gonna use. So you need to select 3 volts, otherwise you're gonna fry your microcontroller. Okay, so you need to be in 3 volts. For node MCU, you can use 5 volts because there's already a regulator inside that regulate your voltage to 3.3 volts. But in this case, you need to make sure you're connected to 3 volts. Okay, how I'm going to connect this one? The TX will be the RX on the SonOff, and the RX will be the TX. So basically you just cross the RX and TX from both sides, and then BCC and ground. BCC will be the 3 volts. Okay, then once you connect that, the next thing that you're gonna do is you need to ground the GPIO 0. So how to look for GPIO 0? GPIO 0 is connected to the one leg of the R19, the leg which is directly connected to the GPIO 0 of this ESP12A. Okay, so the idea is you need to power on this device, and then during power on you make sure that your GPIO 0 is connected to the ground, and right after that, once he detects that it's connected to the ground, during boot up, then he will go to the flashing mode. And once you're in flashing mode, you can remove your GPIO 0 connected to the ground and do the flashing. Okay, so I'll just put this one like halfway. Don't need to really put power in it, just making sure that I will need a little bit of push later on. So this is my sorry, right, it's difficult for the hands like me, which is very shaky, but after flashing maybe 20 device you will get used to it. Okay, I think I'm ready. So I'm already putting my GPIO 0 to ground. I just need to have a little bit of push enough to power on this device, and then remove my GPIO 0. I should be, hopefully, I think I'm in flash mode. So I can flash it using my tasmatizer and get my binary and load from there, but I'll prefer to do it from my Arduino, where I have all my program loaded. So I need to get similar messages like this, means my serial is working fine. But first thing, I need to look at all my configuration is right. I should be on this setting for my flash, because my ESP12 ESP8265 is only 1 MB. So I'm gonna select my file system. 64 KB should be enough, and my on the air is 470 KB. That should be enough for me. Okay, and then my COM is connected to COM3. I should be fine. Okay, let's start flashing. Okay, looks like it's not flashing. I can see the light blinking. That means the application running on this device is still running. That means it didn't go to the boot mode. So I need to do the GPIO 0 again to the ground. Usually when I get this kind of message, I never disconnect the serial while it is doing that scanning, because it will end up me losing the COM port totally and I need to reboot my laptop. I will patiently waiting for that to finish and then do again. Okay, this always be like this, difficult, but we're gonna do it. Okay, I'm gonna put again to the ground and then GPIO 0, making sure I'm touching the ground on my GPIO 0, and then put the power, hold it a little bit, making sure that it managed to boot up. Okay, now I can remove. So my light didn't blink on the link LED. I think I should be in the boot mode now, hopefully. And let's try one more time. Okay, it's uploading and I can see the progress: 31%, 42%, 52, 57. Okay, it's resetting. Okay, so when the device first boot up with our firmware, so the default access point will be XTRHA Wi-Fi, and this is the password. So this is the one that you're gonna look at, and you're gonna connect to that access point. It'll be taking a while, but it should come up to your no, not yet. Okay, so we forget, we need to upload as well the file system, and we're gonna do the same. So we just downloaded the application binary. The next thing that we're gonna download is the little fs file system. So the same, we're gonna turn it off again. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the R19 and making sure I'm putting it correctly, and give a power in it, and remove GPIO 0. Carefully remove the wire, making sure that you never reset the MCU, otherwise you're gonna do it again. Okay, so we're gonna upload the file system. Okay, I'm good, it's uploading, that means we are fine. Now my little file FS is in the system. What I need to do is I just need to reboot. So hard resetting the MCU can be done by just removing the power, or for the SonOff, there's a terminal on S1. You just put the jumper in it and it will reboot. I prefer this way because I don't want to touch my delicate wiring. So I just need to put the jumper in it, and you can hear the sound like this. Okay, that means it's resetting. And then you need to look at on the Wi-Fi, making sure it should be coming out over here. I saw it. So it is named as XTRHA Wi-Fi 2 because I've been flashing a lot of these, and I think my Wi-Fi already saved the XTRHA Wi-Fi, and he created me another one which is he just put 2, but basically it is the same. Okay, so I have already put the credential in it, so I don't need to key in the password. So the default password is this one and that one, and this is my default. This is ID. Okay, right. For your access point, the default IP is 192.168.4.1. That's why I'm doing a remote online ping here. I can see if my MCU is already online. See, I think I have a intermittent connection from there. I think I'm disconnected. This is not really stable, especially the access point. Sometimes it kicks you out. I don't know what's the reason, but it happens to me many times. Okay, I think I have stable connection now. Now I need to go to my scanner. Okay, so this scanner is basically will scan my device. I have two options here: the scan network and the scan local access point. The scan network will be used when your device is already joined to your automation network, but in my case I have just flashed it with my new firmware. I need to scan it locally using the access point, so I'm gonna select the second option. Okay, here it goes. I need to key in my credential. So it's just a very basic configuration. It will just giving you the access for each ISIS Wi-Fi configuration, and basically putting its ISIS ID and the Wi-Fi password. So I'm gonna put this one on my test Wi-Fi. So my password is just my wife's name. I will not forget it. Easy, right? But my real automation network is, even I cannot memorize it. I need to copy and paste. Okay, this is just for demonstration. The next thing is, once you add, you can add as many as much as you want for your ISIS ID. If you have like 3 or more access point or extender in your house, you can enroll all of them over here, and you don't need to worry about that, because once you boot up, he will be looking for the Wi-Fi was having good, I mean the highest RECI score, and he will connect on that automatically. But for my case, I will just show one, and then okay, the next is the access point information. So access point information is this, where you is your fallback access point. So on the event that you lose your Wi-Fi, your device can be accessed using the access point, and this should be the unique access point for that device. So the default one is XTRHA Wi-Fi. I don't want to be name all XTRHA Wi-Fi, otherwise I don't know which one is. So I need to put a distinct name for this. I just put test because this is my test application. I put the same password, right? Save. Okay. Yeah. Loading Wi-Fi, save. So I want to show you the other option. If you will be loading more devices other than this, you can do the export configuration. In that case, you don't need to key in one by one, especially if you have a lot of extender that you're gonna add there. So let me just delete all this information to show you that you can do also the import configuration. Okay. Okay. So basically, once you have that configuration saved in your laptop, you can save it, and then you can export, import, and then it's just a matter of importing and exporting the file. Save. So all this configuration is not yet effective until you reboot the MCU. So this is just enough for the initial configuration. You just need to make sure it will join your automation network. So double check again. This is my automation, one of my access point, and I should be fine. So now I'm ready to restart the MCU. Okay. The next thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna look for it on my automation network. So I have this running on my automation network, and I'm gonna scan my network. So I have like 14. So if it will come out here, it should be okay. It's already coming out. So the default name of the device is XTRDIV XXX. So and this is the configuration. You see, he's connected to TANX. I have several SSID. My extender and these are all extender. Okay. So now that this is discoverable by my automation network, I can configure everything. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I look for another configuration which is similar to this. All of this is SonOff. So anything, okay, I like to copy this one. This is for my master bedroom. Instead of doing it one by one, I will go to the configuration, my hardware configuration. This is my default hardware configuration. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna export this one, and I'm gonna put it as my hardware. Okay. Save. What else? MQTT. I need to save this one as well. I'm gonna export my MQTT. Save. Replace. What else I need? MQTT, my communication. I'm gonna export this one as well. Why I'm doing this? Because I don't want to type one by one. Okay. I also have Modbus, but still in progress. Enhanced Modbus, which is also another Modbus with EAS 128 encryption, still in progress. I haven't done with that. I also have DNP, also in progress. Okay. And then I need to go to my system. So this is how I distinguish this device from the other. I also need to copy this template by exporting it. Okay. And minimize this one and go to my other configuration, which is this guy. Okay. Admin. So first I will configure the hardware. So I have like default hardware here. This is our board, and we have our microcontroller, and you can also use the node MCU here, or if you want to customize the template, as long as it is ESP12A, you can configure anything you want. Okay, and you have 5 template to use for that. So in my case, I will just use template 1. Okay, so my template 1 is loaded with our board configuration. Our board have 11 output, and we have 16 analog for the sensor. So I don't need to use all of them. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna import the one that I have just exported from one of my SonOff. Open. You're gonna overwrite it, and I don't need the sensor over there. I am just particular with the on-off. SonOff have no he's not using the sensor over there, so I need to remove. Otherwise, if I put it, my MCU will keep scanning that EDC, and it use up my resources, which is, SonOff is very limited resources. Okay, so I think that's good. Save. So the next thing that you're gonna do after you save the template one, you're gonna tell the MCU that this is the configuration that I want to put on this MCU. How you're gonna do that is you make it as default configuration by clicking this one, set as a default configuration. So at this time, you already put the default configuration of your MCU. So the moment you restart this MCU, he will configure the GPIO 0 as your input, GPIO 4 as your output, 5, so on and so forth. So this is the configuration of your SonOff. Input is your switch, output is your relay. Okay. Basically, I'm good. I already configured the IO of my SonOff. The next thing that I'm gonna do is how I am going to pass this information to my has IO. So my has IO is communicating to my firmware using the MQTT protocol. So I need to go to my MQTT protocol, and it is loaded with the default MQTT for my board. I need to override this one by importing again the one I have exported on my other SonOff. Okay, so you need to be very careful with this description over here, because once you have a duplicate tag on your MQTT, it will give you a undesired output. So on my case, I just need to rename this one, because this is my test. I just put it test SF, means SonOff. My advice is you need to have your tag list for all your devices within your house. So you already the assigned tag for each point, and you don't need to worry if you are repeating the tag. Okay, so okay, for the switch, you need to make it as a binary sensor, and for the relay output, you need to, in my case, because this is not an outlet, this is a light, I just select the light, and this is also a light. But if this SonOff is attached to my outlet, I need to select the switch one. Okay, so let's assume that this SonOff will be used as a light switch. Okay, this binary sensor, this is your light. Take a look one more time, making sure that you're not doing a crazy thing over here. So for your MQTT description, you need to make sure that you don't have any space, because that space will not be accepted on your MQTT configuration, and it will not show up on your home automation, home assistant, when you try to look for that tag. Okay, so I will save it. I'm done with the MQTT. The next thing that I'm gonna do is I will do the cause and effect. So right now I have done the hardware configuration for my input and output. I assign them an MQTT topic for each I/O, for each GPIO. If I restart this one, automatically my home assistant will detect this one and add to each entities. But we are luck with one thing, because locally, when you click the input, like input okay, like input 4, you should activate the relay output 4. Okay, and input 5, relay output 5, so on and so forth. How are we gonna do that? So you will do that on the cause and effect. You can load it. Okay, so I have this cause and effect. For each box over here, this is your input, and these are all your output. So basically, this is your switch 1, 2, 3, relay 1, 2, 3. Cause and effect high. This table will give you the relationship between your input and output when your input go from 0 to 1. Likewise, below, this is where when your input goes from 1 to 0. Both wise, I do the same. What I'm gonna do, I'm not setting or resetting the output, but I'm just actually toggling it. Okay, so why I'm using toggle? Okay, so I'm using toggle because this switch is not locally controlled by the local input switch. It can be also controlled by the home assistant via the soft hand switch there. So if you're gonna put a set and reset, it will be holding your output to set and reset, and externally it will not be changed, because this is a high priority logic. Is running locally in your MCCU, and he don't know what is really triggering externally from this logic. So to make it safe, and it will not holding your logic all the time, we just use toggle. Toggle means whatever the state of your relay, he will just toggle it. So for example, if it is off, he will turn it on. If it is on, it will turn it off, and vice versa. So both case, it will happen from the transition of 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. Okay, so you can save that, and okay, we review again. We make sure our MQTT is fine. We have good MQTT. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna configure our MQTT. Okay, so this is my default MQTT. I need to import what I have exported from my other SonOff, so I don't need to type. Oops. Okay, gonna save it. Now I'm good to go, so I can restart the MCU. And I can go to my Home Assistant. And this is one of the important tools that I have for my debugging. I can also recommend you this one, MQTT Explorer, if you are mainly using your MQTT. And I'm gonna look my entities over here. Okay, so taking a while. Right, you see. Okay, while waiting for that, I will show you what are the other capabilities. So it should be coming out over here as a new name, right? Okay, I think we make a mistake with the IP over there. Okay. Okay, we never change the name. We need to change the name as well. We forget one configuration, which is this one. We're gonna put some name to distinguish it. So I'm gonna name it as my test. Just put it test. Okay, I can select like DHCP over here, but I prefer to use my public, I mean my static IP, so I can manage it. So my last IP is 88. I just put 100 over here. Okay, I can see the firmware, my MAC address, everything. I have my server name for my NTP synchronization, which is I should be 11 now, because I changed my server. I think I'm good. Save it again. The name is XTRHA test SF. Okay, save. Once I restart the MCU, it should come out here with the new name. Okay, let's wait. While waiting for that, this is the one of the good tools for MQTT. Okay. Okay, it coming out over here. Its new name and the IP that we assign, and so if we refresh the list of this, this is the guy. Okay, that's it. And from here we can do the loop check. So when I press the button, you should be able to see the status over here. See, I'm clicking the input and he changed the output to high. Clicking the input again, change the low. So this is how the cause and effect work. I changed the value of this input from 1 to 0, 0 to 1. It toggled the status of the relay for both cases. Okay, that's locally controlled by your cause and effect. And how it is being set up, we go back there again. This is your cause and effect, both direction from 1 to 0 and 0 to 1. He will do the same. 1 0. So SonOff have three GPIO, but it depends how the the actual switch. This is only one gang, so the other two is not physically installed on the switch, so only one is working. Okay, so the next thing, the loop check is working fine. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna test it from our Home Assistant. Okay, from our Home Assistant, okay, so the name, okay, we look for the MQTT name, test SF. So that's the name of the tag. I wanted to test. Okay, no underscore. Okay, so this is the light, this is the switch. So take a look for this value over here and the value over here. So based from my cause and effect, I will press again the button. See, value change to 0, and when I click again, the value change to 1, and the state as well change on, off, on, off. Okay, we are good. So the final test is we're gonna look at on our Home Assistant. Okay, so the best that you can do is, okay, look for that if it exists over here. So this is the one. Okay, I'm gonna press the button, change, untag. I'm gonna do it the reverse way. Activate here. You can hear the sound and the light. See, if you look at the light over here, off, on, off, on. Okay, and yeah. So from the overview, how you gonna do that? I'm gonna edit my dashboard and just put a test over here. Then from my test, I'm gonna add another card. This composed of entity. I like this one, so I'm just select for that. Test SF light 1. Okay, this is only one gang. Okay, so that's how it will look. Okay, so if you look at, I'm gonna twist on, that's off, on, off, on. Okay, I lost the power. Oh, sorry, the connection is very delicate. Never mind. Okay, so that's from Home Assistant going to the SonOff, and see. Good. So next I will create another video because this is quite long already. I'm create another one for our board, how to configure our board from the scratch all the way to Home Assistant. Any question, let us know on the comment portion of this video. Thank you.